And when you say profiling, it's not racial profiling, but it's behavior profiling.
Absolutely. Racial or age. I hear a lot when people are saying lately, they checked this little old lady well, a little old lady can explode.
Sure.
So saying, in Israel, there was an expectation of a terrorist attack from Palestinians at the time, and the Palestinians were smart enough to recruit the Red Army brigades, which were Japanese, and a group of Japanese terrorists arrived in Lod Airport, which is the Ben Gurion Airport now, and they carried out a massacre there because they were not expected. They weren't profiled
right, absolutely.
properly.
So behavior seems to be a much more effective way to go than any age, race, or country of origin.
Yes. The other thing is, I think people are underestimating the TSA, and it's a good thing.
Well, when you hear about a guy's on the phone, so he lets somebody go the wrong way through Newark Airport security, it doesn't sound good, right?
It happens in Israel too.
Yeah.
People have gone on airplanes in Israel with weapons, and tried the system and made it, and had gone through it. And there's always a failure somewhere. But when you're comparing the size, look, take the example of this flight, the Northwest flight to
the underwear bomber.
Yeah, he's an excellent example of the quality of the TSA. I mean, the terrorists, if they wanted to, if they had their druthers and their choice, they would have taken an airplane or boarded a plane in the U.S. It's still full of fuel. It's closer to the target, which means if you want to blow it over a city, you're taking off from a city. On the other hand, they chose to go to Schiphol Airport, which is way out there, take a plane that had to cross the Atlantic before they made their attempt to blow it up.
Right.
Now, if you're comparing Israelis and others, well, the Schiphol Airport is really the people who are handling the security there, or are training the security there at least, is a company called ICTS, which is an Israeli company. So you have, it kind of puts everything, on its head. And the same company has a subdivision that is handling about 30 airports in the U.S.
With regard to the whole body screening that is being talked about implementing in the U.S., everything I've read suggests it would be implemented at some airports. So my question is that going to be effective? Wouldn't terrorists just figure out which one those are and fly to other airports?
Yes. Probably.
So what you're saying is, unless you put it in every single airport, it's not going to have any effect.
No, I think it has an effect in the fact that you're showing that you're making efforts in the technological way. I think, though, that basic screening of data would be sufficient. I mean, we're going overboard in technology. We're expecting the mechanisms and technology to solve our problem. It's the same thing, by the way, in the spy world. The CIA relied very highly on electronics and devices, and very little on human, which is the recruiting of somebody, and you cannot rely on information more than from a person's mouth. I mean, he was there when somebody said something, and he brought you the information.
Right.
It's more expensive to get. It's harder.
Sure.
But that's the kind of information you need.
My last question for you, and I wish we had more time to talk, is red flags and the underwear bomber. I have a long list here that come up to me, which is he paid cash for a one-way ticket. He brought no luggage to travel halfway around the world. He had no passport. He claimed to be from Sudan when he was Nigerian, and his own father had called the CIA about him. Now, is this the result of no talking between agencies that he was able to go from country to country, or is the problem somewhere else? I mean, with so many red flags.
Absolutely somewhere else, and I'll tell you where. The airport security in Schiphol should have gone on to this. The ticket, and not only that, he was based on his age, his ticket was far more expensive than it should have been. And all those red flags should have been raised by the security elements in the airport.
So there was a failure in a lot of locations, and I mean, in his origin, he was allowed to get on under the guise of being from a different country with no passport. That's a problem.
That's a problem. You have problems every step of the way. The fact that he was on a list shouldn't raise us a lot of flags, because that means that we're only protecting against people who are on a list. So if they're not on a list...
And Ted Kennedy was on that list for a while. So
yeah, there you go.
We know the list isn't the end of the world, right?
No, and he shouldn't be relying just on that. It's a tool. It's one more tool in the system. But I think the size of the U.S. and the size of the of the whole system is its best protection. Because we're very scared, and we're quite panicky about it, but in the big picture, it's not that bad.
Viktor Ostrovsky is an ex-Mossad case officer, former member of the Israeli Defense Force, and founder and CEO of thebookpatch.com. Thanks so much for calling in today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, take care. Fascinating stuff, Louis. I mean, really hands-on knowledge of exactly where things broke down, and I mean, just the work, the stories he could tell if they weren't secrets, I'm sure would fill pages and pages of books.
I can't imagine. Reminds me a little bit, just the airport talk, about my trip to Israel,
right?
And how long I was questioned.
Right. Well, Louis has this situation where he is Jewish, and he was on a birthright trip, but his father is from Iran, and the tattoos probably didn't help, right? I mean, we know from...
I don't believe I had any at the time.
Okay, and there were a lot of questions asked.
Yes, I was questioned for about twice as long as anybody else.
What kind of questions?
Well, basic questions, but then the questions were repeated to make sure I was telling the truth.
Questions about if you had a bar mitzvah?
No, where I was from,
Which one of your parents is Jewish? Which I think is...
well, where I was coming from, which airport I flew in from, stuff like that.
And it went on for 15, 20 minutes?
I would say maybe 5 to 10 minutes, but all the other interviews were very short for the rest of the people on the trip.
A couple of minutes.
1 to 2 minutes.